What is hatching, Toga peeps? OldmanTup coming at you today with the Q&A video that was promised last week. We have collected mountains of questions. Well, maybe 50. And today we're going to ask them for your viewing pleasure. So let's dive right into this, and I'm just going to read them right off of YouTube. So, Dalton Reiser asks, how do you still play competitive Pokemon at 33? Well, I started playing from Pokemon Blue, and I've just didn't start competitive until 3rd gen because there was nowhere in my area to play. Organized-wise, my first tournament that I played in was the Journey Across America tour, which was the 10th anniversary tour. They had a stop in Pittsburgh at the Century Mall, which is only about an hour and a half from my house. So it was the shortest drive I've ever had to make for a Pokemon event that wasn't a local league, which was fantastic. I placed, I forget my exact place. I think it was like, I want to say 9th overall, but I placed very high in the top 16. And I got a bunch of cool free stuff. It was in the Emerald era, the original Emerald. Well, I guess I haven't remade Emerald yet. But the original Emerald era, and I got a cool exclusive strategy guide, a keychain, a pin, which I still carry around on my backpack with me when I go places. What else did I get? A t-shirt for competing, which I still have and wear. And it was it's actually a really nice t-shirt. I probably should have wore it for this video. But, and I was just playing ever since. So, and I just still play it. Something I enjoy. And it's really easy to spend a lot of time on it. So, that's how I still play. Who's my favorite to win the GBA? And do I hang out with any of the other coaches? Now, that is from Shading? Okay, Shading. Who's my favorite to win the GBA? Oh, jeez. The playoff race is very close. This is recorded after week 7, the Monday after. So all the results from that are up. And, who do I think is going to win? I'm not going to pick a winner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you who I think is going to make it to the finals. And, I think that Miguel is probably going to win the, is that the Hoenn division? Conference? Whatever his conference is, I think he's going to win. I think he will be able to beat Malvone for that. I think Miguel just plans too well. Now, who do I think is going to make it out of my conference? I'd like to say me, but I believe at this point we are mathematically eliminated, considering we are sitting at dead last with sharing the worst record, but having the worst differential in the league. So at this point, we are going with my favorite football team and hoping to take the #1 pick at this point. Because, I mean, that is the positive we're going to pull out of this season. We're going to get the first pick next season. We've got a whole new idea on this format, because I had never battled in this format before. So I am looking forward to a high draft, even though I had one this year. I was number 3. And, yeah. Looking to correct some mistakes I made in the draft. So who is going to make it in my division? Oh, I got on a tangent right there. Who do I think is going to make it in my division? I think that I want to say John, but I don't know if he's even guaranteed to make it in the playoffs yet. Because, I mean, there's a bunch of really good teams in my division. I mean, Dan is playing really good right now. He just beat Shady really well in their game without hacks. I know a lot of people criticize him for winning with hacks in a lot of his earlier season matches. But, I mean, he just hands down beat Shady this week. So, I mean, Dan's playing really well. I think it'll probably be the two of them in the finals for the conference if they make it, because I think John can still be eliminated from the playoffs if someone else gets like a out. I mean, Shady, I think, has a better record than John, I think, at this point. And Cooper could still beat John out for that division, so it is possible John won't make it. I don't know. It's really tight in that conference right now. But I'm going to say if John makes it into the playoffs, he will make it to the finals. And between John and Miguel, Miguel just dismantled John play-wise this week in Week 7. If you haven't seen it, I apologize for the spoiler, and the Shady Penguin spoiler, and the A-Drive spoiler. Apologize for that. But, yeah, I think, I want to say John is going to learn from his mistakes and just trash Miguel. But it's one of those really hard things. Miguel plans so well, but John has such a good team. If John could get that one thing in the finals match where he just threw a snafu into Miguel's plan, I think it would be downhill and snowball from that point, and John could win. So, even though he may not be in the playoffs, I'm picking John to win it. And if John doesn't make it to the playoffs, then I'm going to say Miguel, because I think Miguel can beat just about anybody who's going to make it from the Diamond and Pearl divisions. So, that's what I think. Do I hang out with any of the other coaches? I mean, in real life, the only coach that I've actually met, I think, is Steve. Steve and I have been friends for quite a while. We met a few times, actually. I met him in New York. I met him, the New York, New Jersey trip, I guess, kind of paired together. But I met him in New York once at Time Central Station, and we went to, I think it was the Black White or the Black White 2 premiere event at whatever was local there. What else? I met him in New Jersey for the Paramus Regionals tournament that year, which I made it, I think, farther than any of the people that I was with. I think, was that, did me and Sarkaz Jack get eliminated the same that time? I don't remember, but that was a fun trip. We all went together. Well, Super Bluff 411 was part of that trip, who is a former coach. Fizzy Stardust, who is a former coach, and possibly coming back next year. Let's go, Fizzy. He has my vote to be comeback coach for next season, just because he's so much fun to play with. But we're getting away from the question. Do I hang out with any of the coaches? So it was Steve Magnitude, Fizzy Stardust, Super Blah 411, and a bunch of our other friends, including my logo designer, Black Spotted Zebra, and Saya Sandstorm, who I don't know if he uploads anymore. I haven't talked to him in a long time, which makes me sad. Shika, aka Saya Sandstorm. Who else went with us? Oh, I'm forgetting somebody. Javier was there. I don't know if he uploads. And Moody. So yes, excellent. That was an excellent trip. We had a lot of fun. And that was the U.S. Nationals event in Indianapolis, if I didn't mention that. But in general, the coaches I mean, if you want to call it hanging out with, I hang out with Crimson Seabad as often as I can when he streams, because I love his streams. If you don't subscribe to him or follow him on Twitch, go do so. If I remember, I'll put that link in the description, because he is just awesome to watch, especially now that he's doing Outlast live on streams. Go get it. Hashtag love Crimson City. Yeah. But he is by far probably the best friend that I have made since we've started this season of the GBA. And, while we're talking about coaches, I just want to thank Hank the Pidgey, because I think all of except for 2, he has recorded all of my matches for me, because I don't have a capture card, and that improves quality, and thank you, sir. The other people that have recorded for me are Miguel, aka Mega Mogwai, and Dan, aka A-Drive, so thank you for you two gentlemen also recording when you were able to help me out. while we're doing thank yous, I want to thank Danza, aka Crobat, for the win, and Tom, both former coaches of the league, for helping me gen my pokes. You make it so much easier for me every single week. Between the two of you, have genned all of my teams. So thank you. You men are a model for this community, helping out immensely. But other than that, besides the coaches Skype group, we don't so much hang out with anyone, really. I go to A-Drive streams as often as I can because my oldest daughter enjoys watching him, and so do I. Watching shiny hunting is fantastic, so I'm sure you follow him already. Okay, that was Shadang. Now let's go to the Trojan Horsey, who I pressured into asking questions. Okay, here are his questions, and he's the first multiple question asker. If you could exist in any fantasy world that you're aware of, which one would you choose and why? I should have read these ahead of time. If I could exist in a fantasy world, I would exist in Star Trek, The Next Generation, because that is my all-time favorite television series of all the times. Well, let's say somewhat possible future fantasy world, or Dragon Ball Z as a Saiyan, because who doesn't want to know how to do the Kamehameha? I mean, let's be serious. So, that would be the fantasy that I would choose. Probably Dragon Ball Z if I had to choose one or the other, just because doing all those cool power attacks would be awesome. I mean, who hasn't pretended to do that at one point or another? You're lying if you've seen the show and said you haven't. Okay, what is your greatest drive motivation? This applies to anything that you do. If we're going to say as far as YouTube, I do YouTube for two reasons. One, because I enjoy it. The reason that I've stopped doing YouTube in the past was because I either stopped enjoying what I was doing, or real life things just tend to outweigh that 9 times out of 10. And my second motivation is providing content that people enjoy. It's no fun to make something just for yourself most of the time. But if I put something up there, and if I have 5 solid viewers, and I have at least that in all of my battles, who watch it and comment consistently, thank you very much. I wish I had that list pulled up that I could name you all off, but you know who you are. If you comment on all of my vids, whether you give me constructive criticism, which I always get, thank you, and just well wishes, thank you again, which is very welcome when you are 1 and 6. And we have pushed well beyond the 10-minute mark, which I kind of thought I wouldn't. But old people talk a lot, I'm sorry. Okay, number 3 from the Trojan Horsey. How are you so cool and down to earth? It's so inspiring. Thank my parents. Thank my grandparents. I don't know. I guess you could say I'm a product of my environment. My grandparents, both my father's and my mother's parents, are pretty much the most awesome people that I could have ever been around growing up outside of my own parents. So I am just blessed to have had such a wonderful and fantastic family. I really never realized how, and I don't want to brag or make anybody feel bad, but I have one of the most fantastic families I've ever heard of. My grandfather had me every other week. We went fishing all the time when I was a kid. He taught me so much. And I love my grandfather to death. And it will be the saddest day in my life when he passes, because I love him that much. He's been such an impact in my life, and I don't want to start crying. So, yeah. He was awesome. My mother's mother, I never knew my mother's father because he passed before I was born. Grandma Noni was just probably where I get most of my personality from, I'm gonna say, because we are, well, my late grandma. What we could say, cut from the same cloth. We had almost identical senses of humor. Uh, both really fun. I don't want to talk about myself, but she was a really fun lady. Um, but she was one of those fun but stern people. She was one of the strongest women I've ever known. She raised, God, how many kids did she have? 6. Most of which she raised um, teenage beyond 20 on her own because her husband died very young. And just an awesome, awesome woman. And like I said, I was blessed to have her in my life as long as I did. So, yeah. So, I don't know. It's not me, trust me. It's what I come from. So, and not to mention my parents. My dad is just awesome. Was always there to show me something that I needed. And my father worked a lot when I was younger, so I didn't have the time with him that I had with my mom, but my mom was always there because her work schedule allowed for it. My dad's didn't. And there's no resentment there whatsoever. It's just a fact. But my dad was always there when I needed him, and that was important. But my mom was just always there. And I loved her for that, too, because she took me to all the games, she took me to all my activities, she led almost all of my activities, and yada, yada, yada. So, I have an awesome family, which is why if you ever, anytime I see something, I don't want to talk on myself, but if you need some love from somebody, let me know, and I will do my best to give you encouragement, because I know so many people in this world lack it nowadays, and it makes me sad, because I have been blessed to have been raised up with so much of it. So I want to pass it on. So if you need something, guys, you hit me up on Twitter, and I will let you know how awesome you are. Okay, and that was the Trojan Horsey. Let's go to Blake Valleys. Valise? Okay. Am I originally from northwestern Pennsylvania or somewhere else? Yes, I was born and raised in northwestern Pennsylvania. I have always lived here. I've always lived in the same county of northwestern Pennsylvania. And I will probably die here because I love this part of the country. I don't live in a large city. I don't even think there's 10,000 people in the city that I live in. It's enough of a town to be a respectable sized town, but not so big of a town that there isn't country around it. So, I love where I live. If so, at least what country do you live in now? I live in the United States of America, which is where Pennsylvania is for some of my foreign followers. Am I a Yinzer? From northwestern Pennsylvania, you have to ask. Now, for those of you who don't know, because it isn't as prevalent for people who don't know about northwestern Pennsylvania and or Pittsburgh, it is, and I live in northwestern Pennsylvania, and we call it a Pittsburgh accent. And I used to yins all the time. You know how people from the South say y'all, people from Pittsburgh say yins. And I worked at a Giant Eagle, which is the local grocery store that competes with Walmart. And it is more or less a grocery store where Walmart is a super center-ish type thing. And I was a grocery store clerk, so I stocked shelves. And it was a fantastic job. I loved it. I wish I would have stayed there because it was union. But my manager there was from Pittsburgh, and she yinsed, and I worked there almost 3 full years, and I developed a yins accent. Now, my wife is from Florida. She was born in Florida, moved to Pennsylvania when she was 12 or 13. So she is a y'aller. And I've lost a lot of my yins. I don't y'all. I don't. I did blah. That is too redneck for a redneck from Western Pennsylvania to me. I love my wife to death, but I am not a y'aller. And yeah, so I do occasionally drop a yins and call people jagoffs. If you, Blake, are from the area, you will know what that means. Okay, I should have flown A's before I did this video. I apologize. If you were to do the GBA again after this year, would you go in with a preset strategy, or would you let fate decide picking your Pokemon? Now, if I were to go in this time, I have a completely different understanding of this format now. Basically meaning I had none prior to this, because I didn't. So, and we've pushed the 20-minute mark. Alright. I apologize if that's affecting the camera when I flick back and forth on stuff. But my draft, I believe, next season will be completely different. Not only will there probably be an expansion, so there will be less Pokemon to choose from, but I believe a lot of my role Pokemon will be different. Something that I've noticed is the walls that I have are not the appropriate type for this league. I mean, outside of Hitmontop's been fantastic, but a lot of the threats in this league carry Psychic type moves or Flying type moves, and that's not friendly to Hitmontop. I mean, Hitmontop's good coming in taking one of those priority hits any day of the week. Any day of the week. But, unfortunately, once that wall goes down, my resistances to a lot of the common threats are few. And I don't want to say I didn't consider that, but that wasn't on the forefront of my mind when I drafted this team. And I had a lot of help drafting this team from people who were, I don't want to name anybody's names because I don't want anybody to think I'm a you-know-what, but I had a lot of help from people who were more familiar with this than I am. Nobody in the GBA, so exclude that. And while I did get a group of great Pokemon, not great for this format, unfortunately. So, next year, my draft will probably be a 180 is the turnaround. Complete 180, because I'm a season smarter, season more experienced, and yeah. So expect next GBA to be different. Will I go in with a preset strategy? I already have one in my brain. Whether or not that will work out with there being more coaches, we'll have to wait and see. Okay. Question 4. I apologize for the sniffles. Do your kid's wife play? And I assume this means Pokemon. I tried to get my wife to play when we were still dating, because I played Pokemon hardcore, and God bless my wife for putting up with that. But I got her into Sapphire. I believe when we started dating, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum were still prevalent at the time. But she played not Alpha Sapphire, it was just Sapphire at that time. She played Sapphire, and she made it to about the Whismur Cave, and didn't have enough interest to continue. So she tried, and I'm very thankful for that. But she is not a fan of video games pretty much in general, so she doesn't. My oldest daughter plays. My youngest daughter isn't old enough to comprehend. She's only 4, so she doesn't really... She likes playing games, but she'll sit down and just beat up people on Castle Crashers. But unfortunately, with the strategy and need to be able to read, she can't play Pokemon yet. My oldest daughter plays. She's played X and Omega Ruby, and not Mystery Dungeon, the other one, Ranger. I own a couple of the old Ranger games, which she has picked up and played, so she plays a variety of Pokemon games, as well as whatever the new Rumble one that came out, and whatever they made to replace Drowsy. All those free-to-play games that came out. She plays all of those. What do I do for a living outside of Pokemon? When I'm not injured and hurt, which I currently am still with my hip, I work for an automobile parts producing plant, which is local, and I run a 200-ton hydraulic press, which makes brackets for car doors. So if you own a Honda, a Toyota, an Acura, you probably have one of my parts in your car door. If it's made in the past 5 years. You're welcome. Okay, and this is from Stab. One of my new friends that I have met more through Twitter than anything else. Okay, will I ever upload non-GBA Wi-Fi battles? Most likely not. And the reason why is I do not have the capacity to gen for myself. So I am limited to the Pokemon I have accumulated while playing in the GBA. I mean, aside from in-game Pokemon, and we all know how fun those are to play with Wi-Fi on battle, so ugh. So most likely not. But possibly Showdown. I did do Showdown on one of my previous channels, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the quicker pace, especially for battles. So there will probably be some of that. What does your wife think about you playing Pokemon? Is she happy that I play Pokemon? I don't want to say that she's dishappy. She's glad I am playing something as simple as Pokemon that is not something that could be worse, like gambling or, you know, playing some crazy crap. What is your job? I did already cover that. I run a hydraulic press. Okay, and this is from Shoddy. So, Shoddy, who is your favorite in the PPL? Don't say anything wrong. Now, this is a really hard question for me, because I pretty much know just about everybody, either by reputation or by Twitter conversation in the PPL from general conversation on Twitter. But if I had to pick one person, and I think I stated this in a previous video, Shadi would be my favorite because he's German, and so is my heritage. And he's just awesome. Okay, Mighty Mammoth Swine, Little Nick asks, do I like waffles or pancakes? Now, we're going to take the OldmanTup route, and we are going to explain which of each we like, because I like waffles and pancakes. But I only like pancakes if they are from Perkins Family Restaurant and Bakery, which is a relatively local-ish restaurant chain, which I worked at for many years. I worked every position at, actually, all the way up to management. And never work in a restaurant as a manager. It is the worst possible mistake you could ever make in your life. So don't do it. But they have the best pancakes. They make them from scratch every single day. Blueberries with blueberry compote and whipped cream. The best. But I do love myself a good Belgian waffle. And if you are somewhere that makes a good Belgian waffle, I will eat that all day long. Okay. Extreme Speed X asks, what's your favorite thing about playing Pokemon? What's my favorite thing about Pokemon? I'd say winning, but I don't do much of that in the GBA, so... I'm going to say at this point in the game, it's the wide variety of stuff you can do in it, and I love how they continue to change it, even if it's just little bit by little bit. My favorite thing about, let's say my favorite thing about the new Pokemon game that they added, by far, is soaring. That, I mean, it made so much sense for them to do something like that. I mean, I wish they would do that with, if they could, some of the other HMs, so you wouldn't need them all the time. But, I don't know how they would do that. Maybe with Surf, you'd be able to blow a whistle and Lapras would come flying to you on the water. I don't know, something like that. But, I love to soar. I mean, I'll get bored and just soar around the map a couple of times looking for Pokemon. But, that's my favorite, well, I don't want to say my favorite thing right now. I enjoy going back and restarting games, which I am about to do with Y, simply because it was so much more fun to play than Alpha Sapphire. I don't want to get started on that. Also, what's my favorite thing about doing YouTube? My favorite thing about doing YouTube is, well, more or less meeting and interacting with new people. I mean, it's always fun to have a new person and meet them through the comment section and or through Twitter. I've met quite a few new people through Twitter since entering the GBA, which I understand is the only reason that I have this sub count that I have. Regardless of that fact, I am glad that I do, because I got to meet so many new people that I enjoy the interaction with. Okay, now here's Ellie. Ellie Clark, Electabuzz, who I also pressured into asking these questions. Okay, now her first question, would you ever get your family involved in your channel? I have done videos with both of my daughters in the past. My wife probably not so much. She does not enjoy being videotaped and put on the internet. But both my daughters enjoy it. Both of my daughters love the attention they get from the camera. So I was doing Tori's Awesome Adventures in Pokemon X, which unfortunately she lost interest in before she finished, which is why that never concluded. But I do try and interject them into the videos as often as possible, because if I can get them to enjoy it, maybe that's something they will enjoy doing and we can do together. Nothing is better than daddy-daughter time. Okay, if a zombie apocalypse broke out, which 3 Pokemon would you have to aid you and why? Okay, number 1 is going to be Groudon. And let me explain to you why. And these are all scientific reasons. Well, let's say Primal Groudon, because he has that Super Sun ability, whatever the heck it's called. The heat and sun dry out zombies. When zombies get dehydrated, they lose the capacity to move. It is a fact. When they are dehydrated, they cannot move. When the human body becomes dehydrated, it cannot move. So, if it's that hot, the zombies can't get me. Okay, Pokemon number 2. Let's say I'm going to go with Charizard Y. Namely, Charmander was my first ever start. I apologize if I've been shaking the board. I nervously bounce my knee, and that's just something I've always done. I don't know why. Charizard Y, Charmander was my first ever starter all the way back in Pokemon Blue. Yeah, it makes sense, right? I got Pokemon Blue and then started with Charmander. My brother had Pokemon Red and started with Squirtle, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. Charizard Y is one of my favorite Mega Pokemon, and looking back on it, I really regret not picking it up over Mega Alakazam. As good as Mega Alakazam has been for the team, it may lead the team in kills. I'm not completely positive at this point. I might have to pull up the stat sheet, which I don't have handy. But, mainly because all those flamethrowers just burn and eating the peasants and or zombies. Third Pokemon, we're going to say Tropius, because that chlorophyll ability is going to fly us away super quick if we ever get in trouble, and who doesn't love a good banana every now and then? Okay, what's the reason behind your GBA team name? The Piratitas. I have been a lifelong Pittsburgh Pirates fan, and I have had this name picked out since the very first season of the GBA, because Steve told me if I harassed him enough, he would let me in Season 2, which didn't happen. Then he told me if I harassed him enough, he'd let me in Season 3, which didn't happen. But I harassed him enough and I got into Season 4. Persistence is the key, my friends. But, yeah. Just long-time Pirates fan. When I saw that the Pittsburgh Steelix weren't going to be returning, I jumped on the ability to pick up Pittsburgh as my team, namely because it's the closest large city I live to also. Just a little bit closer than Cleveland and a lot closer than Cincinnati. So, that's namely the reason behind that. Have you ever tried, this is from KLover48. Have you ever tried VGC? Yes, I have. I have competed competitively in VGC in a couple of tournaments. Do I like it? Yes. Do I like it enough to change to that playstyle to compete competitively exclusively? No. It's just one of those things. I did competitive singles for way too long, and it's a really hard gear grind going between the two. I mean, it's like going from overdrive at full speed and then shifting directly into reverse on a manual. Try it sometime. You're either going to screw up your truck or yourself. So don't actually try that. So, thank you, K-Lover. Okay, Jarrett Troder. Yeah, Jarrett Troder 8. Do you think for the GBA next year you can draft a team you can coach to victory? I do. As I said before, I learned a lot this year. I really look forward to the draft next year because I think we're going to draft a lot more appropriately for this setup. And I think the goal we set for this year will be the goal we set for next year, to break even 5-5 if we have 10 games again next year. And anything better than this season is going to be a plus in my mind. Okay, and if so, which ones do you think will be great to get? Keep up the great work. Something I noticed that I've lacked on my team that I could really use is a strong priority. So, a lot of the Pokemon Shady Penguin has are extremely good in this setup. Azelf can hit physical with almost perfect coverage, can hit special with almost perfect coverage. We've got the priority in Scizor, even though he has Mega Scizor. I don't know that I would draft Mega Scizor over regular Scizor, just because I like that choice band damage, baby. But other than that, if I was going to pick some Mons, I really wish I would have drafted Gengar this year. Gengar would have been so good for me this year. So good. But, unfortunately, I went with, well, I don't want to say unfortunately, because Crobat has done work for me as of late also, because it is a fantastic Mon. But, Gengar is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, and, he is high on my list to be drafted next year. What I'm trying to say is, what do you think you missed the most in this season? I'm going to say I really wish I would have drafted Gengar. He would have done really good in this format, I believe. And he went undrafted. I can't believe it went undrafted. The best ghost went undrafted. Okay. And this is from PJ Pitt. Do you have any major YouTubers that you look up to or use as an inspiration? All of the YouTubers that inspired me when I started are retired. So I don't know, when I started Pokemon, which was about 7-8 years ago, the person that I looked up to the most, and it was the guy who, I want to say, got me my start, was, the Killer Nacho, who still randomly uploads not so much Pokemon anymore, but in the glory days of 4th Gen, he was, I would say, probably my largest inspiration, and the person that I looked up to as a YouTuber. Yeah. So that was my inspiration to starting YouTube. When did you start playing Pokemon? I started playing Pokemon from day one. Whatever, 95? Was that when it started? But, I picked up the TCG as soon as it started. I picked up the Pokemon Blue as soon as it came out. And I've been playing ever since. Not so much the card game anymore, but I have owned at least 2 games in every single generation. How'd you get into the GBA? You said in the video, but I'm genuinely curious. How did I get in the GBA? I have been, like I said, I've been friends with Steve for a long time, and he said, hey, you interested in going this year? And I was like, you know it. So, just persistence. I've always asked Steve if there was an opening that I would appreciate being considered, and this year there was the right opening at the right time. and I was considered, and I made it in. So, for the lack of a better term, I guess it was good to have friends in high places. Okay, and that was PJ Pitts. So here's... I'm sorry, I'm going to mess this name up, and I know it already. This is either Elisa or Elisa. Jasso. Jasso. I apologize. Okay, since when do you like Pokemon? Since day one. I watched it from the very beginning, I played it from the very beginning, and I never turned back. I don't watch it anymore because the anime is rubbish, and I don't care what anybody says. It's rubbish. It's crap, it's crap, it's crap. It's worse than the new Power Rangers. That's how crap. So, but I own all the original Indigo Plateau on DVD, and I watch that constantly, and I still love it. Do you like other nerd stuff or not nerdy stuff? Other nerd stuff, I like Star Wars a lot. I like Star Trek The Next Generation even more. I own all the seasons of Star Trek Next Generation, and I watch them probably at least twice a year. I was really into X-Files. I own all those on DVD as well. That's not as... People are probably like, what are X-Files? Look it up. Mulder and Scully. Yeah. But as far as nerdy stuff goes, I like superhero stuff enough, but I mean, I don't go crazy. I mean, I don't read comic books as much as I used to. I like Transformers. I love Transformers. I have a lot of Transformers t-shirts. I like Dragon Ball Z. I like a lot of the stuff that was nerdy when I was a kid that they're retro bringing back, like the original Power Ranger stuff is getting insanely popular again. The original Ninja Turtle, well, not the original, but the late 80s, early 90s Ninja Turtle cartoon. A lot of the stuff is being re-released for that. A lot of the G1 Transformers has been being re-released since the first crap live-action movie. And I apologize if you like that, but if you've been watching Transformers as long as I have, those movies were all crap. Every single one of them. Crap. Suck it, Michael Bay. But, yeah, he ruined that for me. But, other than that, I like most nerdy things in general. Do you have one? Oh, you have one admirer in Mexico. Keep up the good work. Oh, so I probably really messed up that name. So this is probably Elisa Huaso. Thank you, Elisa or Elisa, for being my one admirer in Mexico. Okay, shark baits, brouhaha. Well, it's actually just shark baits. If you watch Little Nemo, you know what I'm talking about. What does your wife think about you playing Pokemon? My girlfriend hates it. Lol, I'm 25. Well, I apologize for that. My wife doesn't hate it. She understands that there are a lot worse things that I could be doing with my time. Does she roll her eyes every time I say I'm doing something important for Pokemon? Absolutely. Because, I mean, seriously, it's Pokemon. But I appreciate that she puts up with it. Okay. G. Duran 27 asks, will you ever upload Showdown Lives? Yes. I was going to get to that with a previous question, but I did read this question. I knew it was coming up. And, let's see. I am working on figuring out how to, and I don't know if I can do this with Camtasia exclusively or not, or if I'm going to have to figure out another way to record this. Record the screen as well as live cam as I am battling to be able to upload it for a video. As soon as I can figure that out, it will be done and we will start doing Showdown Lives. Because I prefer to upload Showdown Lives as opposed to Wi-Fi Lives, because I think Wi-Fi Lives take insanely long when I could have 5 matches complete by the time I have one Wi-Fi battle. So, I mean, it's a personal preference, but Showdown Lives, if nothing else, it will be Showdown with me live narrating, if I can't figure out this whole face cam thing. So, thank you, GDuran27. Now, my buddy Marvo Trainer has a long list of questions. Holy crap. Okay, how did you get involved in the GBA? Which I did already answer. Just being friends with Steve and familiar with the community, even though the community is no longer as familiar with me as it used to be. Did you play Pokemon as a child? Even though I was an older child when it came out. If 95 when it came out, I was, excuse me, 13-ish in 95. So, yeah, I played when I was a teenager. Oh, God. I wasn't even a kid when I started playing this stuff. That's depressing and awesome. What is the reason you still play Pokemon as an adult? Because I enjoy it. Hands down, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't play it anymore. But I love it. It's just something I would never get old of doing. Tired of doing. I'll look at it. I'm already old. Yeah. Okay. What do you say to people who think Pokemon is too childish for teenagers or adults? You're missing out. I don't know what else to tell you. Probably to those people, hey, whatever floats your boat. If you don't like it, go do what you want to do, if it makes you happy. If this makes me happy, I'm not hurting anybody. So, and if they get nasty about it, I tell them to suck it. What is your favorite region in the main series video games, and which town, route, city, place holds the most memory to you? My favorite region is the Hoenn region. I was the most involved, and a lot of my first happened in the third generation. The third generation, it was just such an awesome generation the first time. You got Sapphire, Ruby, Emerald, and they brought back Fire Red and Leaf Green. Those were the glory days of anybody who played that long ago. And not only that, but when Fire Red and Leaf Green came out, was the first time ever you could battle somebody without a connector cable. And some people are like, what the heck is that? Well, for those of you that had them, I believe the original series of connector cables were one of the ugliest colors of blue-purple they could produce. And it was about, that's probably beyond what you can see on the screen because I'm looking at questions, not the video. But I mean, it was maybe a 3-foot cord if you were lucky. And it had an adapter so it could go to the old GBA. No. What were they? To the old Game Boy Colors or Game Boy Advances. Yeah. Because Game Boy Advance, I believe, was the system that was out when they were first introduced. And then they went to the Game Boy SPs, which were so awesome. I miss the SPs. But I hope that's what they were called. But, oh, the SPs were such a step up for the handheld system. Okay. Town City Route holds the most memory for me. What's my favorite town? All time in Pokemon, what's my favorite town? We're going to say that it is going to be... What was the name of the city that Surge was? Vermilion? Vermilion City? Lieutenant Surge was my all-time favorite Pokemon. Electric type was, I don't know, I don't have a favorite type Pokemon anymore. I love so many Pokemon from so many different types. Someone's like, what's your favorite kind of Pokemon? I don't know. But I always fall back on electric types. They were my first favorite type of Pokemon. They've always just had one weakness and enough resist to make it matter. My favorite original Pokemon was Magneton and Zapdos. I didn't always include Zapdos because of it's a legend. You can't be one of those gay guys who likes legendary Pokemon. It's like, whatever. And yeah, it's not bad to like legendary Pokemon. So, you know, but Magneton was my favorite. It made me so sad when it got the dual typing and not levitate. But what you gonna do? I gave it a ton of resistances along with it. But yeah. Lieutenant Surge in that stupid switch puzzle, getting both the things in the trash cans was such a pain in the butt. That in the SSAN was always fun, which was in Vermilion City, if I'm not mistaken. Did you ever beat the Battle Frontier in Gens 3 and 4 without cheating? Yes. Like I said, I was the most active in Gen 3, so I had a ton of level 100 Pokemon that were all legit. Aside from the cloning code that was available in, I believe, Emerald. And I did a lot of cloning for that. But I mean, that only got you one additional item and one additional Pokemon. So I mean, I don't know if you want to call that cheating so much. But I did that, and that was fun. Not so much in Gen 4. What I did love... Was it Gen 4? Yeah, Gen 4 I loved doing the Battle Factory. Particularly with Fizzy Stardust, who's... Yo, it's Fizz now? I can never remember what his new channel's name is. But, those of you who remember Fizz know him as Fizzy Stardust. And his... We would... in Super Bluff 411, we would always get together and do these Battle Factory team-ups. You could team up with somebody and go into the Battle Factory. For those of you who don't know the Battle Factory, you would rent 2 or 3 Pokemon. And you got your choice between 6, and I think you got, maybe it was 3. And at the end of every turn, or at the end of every round, you would get to switch out one of those Pokemon if you wanted to for one of 3 more. And it was just so much fun. I have a lot of my fondest memories playing Wi-Fi with that. So yes, I did play that quite a bit. In your opinion, what is the best Pokemon team that you have ever assembled besides the GBA? And oh, good lord, you're asking. I'm going to say it would have had to have been in 4th gen, because Explosion was still so good back then, and Explosion on Heatran as a last move slot was just so good with him. But Heatran was so much better in 4th gen because there was no team preview. God, that's, in my opinion, one of the worst things to ever happen to competitive battling was team preview. I mean, it takes away the surprise factor. I mean, it adds and takes away from the strategy of the game. So, some people think it's the best thing that ever happened. I personally think for competitive battling it was the worst thing, because it doesn't force you to understand the threats and associations that Pokemon put together. But I mean, let's just talk the Garivire. Was so good before Team Preview. But now you can't trick anybody, so I'm going to say it was a 4th gen team. So yeah. Do you think Zoomer will successfully get a sweep with Belly Drum and Aqua Jet in the GBA? I mean, it could happen. You never know. I just Rocksered some Boxers with Choice Bands, so I mean, we could get a Belly Drum off. Advice on how to be a good battler. You know, I made a team building series in 4th gen, and some of the biggest advice points I could give to somebody is understand your format and understand the threats of that format. Build your team accordingly. Know your strategy and know what works for you. Are you hyper offensive? Are you bulky offensive? Are you a staller? Are you, do you build pseudo teams, or are you a weather war type person? You need to understand your strengths. You need to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the format you're playing in. And you need to, like I said, be able to identify threats. And be able to play around them, which is something that I have had a lot of trouble doing in this format. So, that's my advice to you, Marvo Trainer. Alright guys, we've probably been doing this for way too long now. Oh, almost an hour. Alright, well, for those of you who stuck around this long, I'm going to give you a super special treat and say something super nice and kind about you in the comment section if you include in the comment hashtag Batman. So, well, don't even hashtag, just say Batman. Yeah. So, Batman, put Batman in the comment. Make sure it is all caps so I see it because I'm old and my bifocus don't work as good. So, yeah. Batman in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your questions. I am always open to questions if you would like to ask them on Twitter via. Oh no, I forgot to check my asks. Oh man, I'm glad I almost. Oh no, it's gonna ask me to log in. I have them on my phone. Okay, but it was only 2 questions. None of them were super huge. That's what she said. What's your motivation in life? I already answered that. What's your favorite generation? Well, I already answered that too. Okay. Okay. Well, those are repeat questions. I'm glad I didn't miss anything. You can always hit up my asks, hit up my Twitter, ask.fm. All that stuff will be in the description. Alright guys, we're going to cut this before it makes it into an hour-long video, which will be the longest video that I've uploaded since I've started this channel, I think. Alright guys, this has been OldmanTup, and I will catch you on the flip side. Thank you for holding through to the end. Don't forget Batman. I am Batman. Peace out.